Hey, man.
Hey, do you tuck your hair back into your hat when you put it on?
No, I'm just balding.
You said it. Are you really?
My mom thinks I am. And she gets all over me for wearing so
Terry.
many hats. She's like, if you don't quit wearing hats, you're going to lose all your hair.
That's not how it works. Okay, but okay. All right.
I think she just doesn't like when I wear hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
What do you think?
Do you like it when I wear hats?
I mean, not on our podcast.
Okay, whatever.
But there is that one thumbnail image of you that you did not like because your head was back like this and it just looked like your forehead just went.
My forehead is very long.
You got a big forehead.
A big forehead. That's why I like hats so much.
Big forehead.
Because I can shrink my forehead in a hat. See, watch this.
I mean, it accomplished it.
Normal size forehead now.
Is it? Because right now, the little archway looks like. Have you ever been to Sbarro Pizza? And they just slide that pizza into the oven. You know, that's what it looks like to me.
Put the pizza in there.
Oh, I thought you were trying to see yourself. I was like, you can't see yourself in that camera. Like,
yeah, this camera isn't working right. I don't.
Do you think that my intern's going to spend the time to put a pizza in your forehead?
Yeah, I think he will.
I hope he does.
Here, let me give you another chance.
Okay.
And put the Sbarro line like right here with like some people waiting in line.
And
maybe
blur out the band name. We're not.
Yeah, we're not affiliated.
Affiliated?
It's like
affiliated is when you have like when you feel like you have a connection with that brand. You know, affiliated is like an official.
I am affiliated.
I am
but I am not affiliated.
Not affiliated, but affiliated.
100%. I am 100% affiliated.
When Chick-fil-A tried to sue me over my music video, I was like, guys, we're affiliated.
We're affiliated.
And they were like, no, we're not. And I was like, well, that's not up to you.
You can't decide if we're affiliated.
You can't decide how my emotions land.
It's classic miscommunication.
Yeah. We are affiliated with Sbarro Pizza. And Sbarro didn't come up at all during our Little Caesars episode.
Yeah, what a mess.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
anyway,
next time.
So you got a big forehead.
I got a big forehead.
Is that what today's episode is
We
about?
have to make a pizza. Yeah. Hey man, have you ever heard of Sbarro?
Honestly, if you did that, you pulled that out, that would have been really funny.
If that was, that would be incredible. But it's not. I mean, I could just.
And that's why, I don't date
the
girls. I court girls. Meaning I take them to food courts. Yeah. And
Man, the hood on this hoodie is so big. It's catching my cord. I should have ran it through.
Big foreheads, big hoodies.
Yeah.
What are you just trying to feel small?
Yeah, I want to feel smaller.
Yeah, that's why I wear 3X clothes, because I just like to be like a little babe.
All right.
We should start over.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of synthetic media?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's all the president retweets on social media. It's just synthetic media. Things I learned last night. TILLN it. What are you doing, Tim?
Oh, I'm just logging on to patreon.com.
What's Patreon?
Oh, it's just a website where you can support all your favorite content creators.
Hey, we're content creators. Hey, if you like this podcast, please consider joining us on Patreon, where you'll get access to episodes a week early, bonus content, and a Q&A where you can ask your questions about the topics we talk about or just about me and Tim. So please consider doing that. It helps us to financially support this podcast because it's a passion project of ours, and also just gives you access to be more involved. So thank you for doing that. You can do it at TILLN.com/join. Also, you don't have to watch this every week if you join. So do that. Is that another word for? It's kind of it's not a joke. The synthetic media is made up media.
Well, yeah, but it's not like.
Is it another way of saying satirical?
That's not what it is. I mean, you're technically right, but that's not what it is.
Okay.
It is made up media, but it's not satire.
All media is made up. None of
Well-
this is real.
Fair.
We're in a room in an undisclosed location.
Yes. Under the old undisclosed location.
Underneath the old,
a little north of the old undisclosed location.
it's gonna sound like we're straight up in the Denver airport. You know, it's like we're underneath the old location, which is further north and also like what's the word I'm looking for? Depth, not depth.
Deeper?
Deeper?
Wait, hold on. Say it in a sentence again.
No. I couldn't think of what I was trying to say. Anyway, we're somewhere. So
Speaking of the Denver International Airport,
yes.
um,
Thank you for specifying the whole title of the airport, by the way. Speaking of the Denver International Airport, what about it?
I was actually, this is totally unrelated, but now
Great.
that you brought it up, I wanted to eventually found out about an airport similar to the Denver International Airport, in that it's just ridiculously big. So
Okay.
the Denver International Airport is
Are we doing a side thing right now?
yeah. Oh, should we go deeper?
Well, I think we have to.
Hey man, have you ever heard of King Fahd International Airport?
No.
All right.
King Fahd? That's the bad guy from Shrek. Right?
Yeah, it is. Take it deeper. All right, here we go.
Oh, that's Lord Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad.
Okay, so what's up with the Lord Farquaad Airport?
Lord Farquaad Airport. So the Denver International Airport is the second largest airport in the world.
Okay.
Which
Behind King Fahd.
is behind King Fahd.
Okay.
Which, to give you some perspective,
Which Denver's not the busiest, though.
it's not the busiest, but it is. It's busy.
It's
busy, but it's not the busiest.
right.
So Denver International Airport.
It's not busiest with official business.
So
With
it's
synthetic
the
business.
The second largest is Denver International.
Yeah.
Which is twice the size of the third largest, which is Dallas Fort Worth. So it's double.
DIA is double the size of DFW?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Double the size.
I know all the 3-letter codes. Just test me. Orlando MCO.
Let's do Kansas City.
MCI.
New York. Or there's a couple.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, JFK is probably JFK.
It's JFK. Yeah, it's
Newark.
pretty easy. NEW? I don't think so. I was just confident
Seattle.
with it. Seattle is SEA.
Man, you're impressing me. Okay.
Burbank is BUR. It's really just the first 3 letters.
King Fahd.
It's KFU. KFC, actually. It's King Fahd Airport.
Airport. It's not an airport.
That's what they call it now because their customer service is top notch.
They care.
Yeah,
They really
it's
care.
KFC. And it's Captain Sanders there because he's flying the. Anyway,
Yeah,
this is too much. I'm sorry you listen to this or watch it. I'm sorry that you're here.
King Fahd International Airport.
Yeah.
Is 13 times the size of the Denver International Airport. It's literally bigger. It's in Saudi Arabia. It's this massive airport in Saudi Arabia that's literally bigger than the nearby country of Bahrain. The airport is bigger than the other country, the next door country. It's stupid giant.
Why?
There's no reason for it.
They were just like, Saudi money. They're just like, let's just do it.
I literally dug into it, and it literally was just like, they were just like, let's just make this airport stupid big. And so they did. It's literally, there's nothing interesting about it other than it's just freaking gigantic. So, fiddle off that guy.
Yeah, it's just like your hoodies. Just 13 times bigger than it needs to be. Okay, so now we're on to synthetic news.
Synthetic media.
Okay, synthetic media. Sorry.
Synthetic media.
Is that Photoshop? Photoshop would be synthetic media.
No.
Okay.
Synthetic media is also known as AI-generated media. So this is media created by computers.
Interesting.
No person. I mean, people were involved.
Okay, I just want to make sure we know what the official
This is a person typing.
person. No person. Got it.
Can you describe that for our
I
listeners?
just really love this year because I just go, oh, there's no people around. So essentially, you curl up your arms like a little T-Rex, and then you do little jazz hands, but you point them down.
downward jazz.
Downward jazz hands. This is all described in our workout routines. So you can download the template of how to do it. Every morning you wake up, you do 5 minutes of downward jazz hands. Really, it stretches out the wrists,
And those carpal tunnels.
Yeah, really opens up those carpal tunnels. So you can.
Man, my carpal tunnels are really tight. Ain't nothing fitting through those tunnels. Not today.
I don't know if this is obvious, but Tim is halfway through a Bang Energy drink today.
I am 6/8 through a Bang Energy drink today.
Okay. Wow. Carpal tunnels. Anyway. I love carpool tunnels.
You can only use them if you're carpooling.
Super wrong.
Some people,
Yeah, but sometimes you put people in LA do that thing where they put a mannequin in the passenger seat.
so they can get
Someone's
through the carpal
bought a
tunnels.
You would rather buy a full mannequin to put in the passenger seat of your car.
Then make a friend.
Then like be around any people, and that's rough. So AI is creating. So essentially, AI is in charge of not even there. That's not what I mean to say. AI curates your algorithm, curates what you see on your social media, but it's also creating media.
Yes.
Okay.
So to take it back, you kind of got to think about where this all began, and it became. It's been something that's been dreamed around since the ancient Greeks. That there could be machines that could create music was what they wanted. They're like, what if machines could create
not
music
just
or other
play
art
something, but could create
it? Yeah, and so
interesting.
They call it the automata, and so they were automatically made music, and they actually
The automata.
Yeah,
I think what you mean is automatopoeia, but yeah,
I think I mean the Autobots.
got it. The automata.
The automata, and they worked in the ancient Greek civilization. Jeez, this is gonna be freaking rough.
You heard it there first.
Yikes! So they made these robots. They weren't robots.
In ancient Greek,
ancient, they made these machines that could play music.
But could it create music?
They couldn't create, and so they always dreamed.
Because there's one of those machines at Union Station. It's just a piano that plays itself.
Yeah, and
pretty spooky.
That's the concept. But they were like, one day you will make music, and they dreamed of it.
They told that to the machine.
One day you'll be a real musician.
Ew. One day you'll be a real boy.
And so it was never realized until the rise of AI, which
is more recent, but not super recent.
Yeah. So a few years
40s.
Try 40s BC. When AI was first invented. That's not true. 1956.
Yeah, close.
There was a workshop at Dartmouth that started working on compositions, trying to actually be able to create music. And they did, but it wasn't good. Kind of like the stuff you'd hear on K-Love.
It's just created by the machine.
Yeah.
Which is true.
So what they did is they
I'm fine burning that bridge. You know that I almost had a thing with K-Love and I had to go back and this also is true for PureFlix. Now I don't care, so we're gonna do it. But I had a thing where we thought we were gonna get some kind of gig thing, so I had to go back and delete my K-Love tweets.
Yeah.
And then we thought we were gonna get that PureFlix thing, so I had to go back and delete my PureFlix tweets. And now I just regret that.
now you're like, I need to repost.
Now I have to go make fun of them again.
Well, let me start that for you. With what I just did already.
It was a good crafted joke.
Thanks, man.
Did you make that up or did AI?
The AI made that up for me. So essentially what they did is it's an algorithm. And for them, they just plugged in a set of notes. And they were like, hey, take these notes, do what you want with them. And so it did. And it made music. It was a little rough, but it was music made by a computer.
Okay.
And throughout time.
So they put in notes that were already in the same chord and all that stuff.
Yeah, they gave him like a scale, and they were like, "Hey, make a song out of this."
Pretty hard to mess that up.
Yeah, fair. And so But as time went on, they're like, okay, what else can you start to do with AI? And so they started doing not just music, but paintings. I don't know if you've seen those before. Where it's like, here's a painting made by a computer. Technically, it's not, they didn't paint it, but it was like they gave them Microsoft Paint, and they're like, hey, paint this picture. And then they gave them a bunch of paintings based on like history, like historical painters.
Okay.
You know,
I'm gonna let you try again. And we won't edit it together, but I want you to try that whole section again.
Okay,
so they gave them
paintings.
paintings.
They gave them paintings.
They gave the computer paint,
Yeah.
and they were like, here. And the computer was like, I do not have hands. I am not one of you people.
So then they invented Microsoft Paint. That's how Microsoft Paint happened.
Okay.
No, yeah. So they gave it.
And then they were like, do something.
Yeah, they gave it a program and scanned a bunch of paintings.
Actual paintings.
Actual paintings.
Is what you were trying to say. They
Yes.
scanned real paintings to see
Yes.
if the AI could recreate those paintings.
Yeah, and so they learned, like, they would give it all one style. It would learn a bunch of that, and then it would make its own paintings.
Oh, okay. So basically, synthetic media is all those dumb tweets where it's like, I made a robot watch 1,000 hours of this show
actually.
and made it write a script. Which I'm just going to say, like, if the robots do take over, the first thing they're going to do is, like, as they're standing on the neck of the last human being alive, right? Because they're going to kill all of us.
Yeah.
The last person is going to be like, why did you do this? It's going to be like, because someone made me watch 1,000 hours of How I Met Your Mother. and then that's going to be the end of it.
No, they're going to keep us, and they're going to make us do the same thing and see what we create.
They're going to be like, you create something. We created you. Not good enough. Jeez.
Not enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that's dark.
Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
they started making paintings.
Yeah, they started making paintings, and
Paintings.
they started making paintings.
Peyton
That's where the
Manning's
Mannings
just
came from.
getting them
That's
out.
where all the Manning brothers came from. 2 of them made it to the NFL. 1 of them's a cook or something. That was their first try.
All
And
right.
they were like, he didn't make it. Try
They're
again.
like, all right. So they're painting Peytons.
They're Peyton.
First of all, if Peyton Manning is not doing what George W. Bush did, where do you know how W just paints stuff now? He's just like,
No.
I'm not a president anymore. I'm a painter.
No.
You know, you didn't know this?
Yeah. President or painter.
Both. But anyway, so he just straight up paints things. Look up George W. Bush paintings. Like, just Google image that real quick. Like, that's what he was on all these like TV shows for that.
Oh.
Yeah, he just paints stuff. And it's not even like he sold books.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Released 40. Oh, wow. Okay.
So if Peyton Manning sees this or listens, I think you should start a
Peyton paints.
well, no. Start one of those like
close.
wine nights for moms that like want something to do.
Here's the thing. George W. Bush did this first, so you can't call it original. But as is most things. But if Peyton paints a picture of Putin, he could paint Putin. Peyton Putin.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, just because you're a president, you can just. It's kind of like whenever you hang up art by your kid on the fridge, and other people look at it and they're like, "That's not good art."
That's
and you're like,
wrong.
"Shut up, that's my kid." That's how we all collectively felt about George W. Bush, where he like paints the stuff, and we're like, "Shut up, that's our kid."
This
Because they're not great.
this article is called "George W. Bush is still a bad painter."
Is that what it's called? I'm trying to give Peyton Manning a business idea
It's a
that we
great-
could go in together on.
Yeah.
Because you do
He
one of
could
those
just
wine
paint-
nights and do
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah, and he teaches
painting with Peyton.
painting with Peyton.
Peyton paints.
Yeah. Peyton putting paint on Putin.
Painting Manning?
It's all,
Come on.
It's all Putin
Why are you obsessed with the Putin
I
thing?
just like the way that flows. It's Putin mannequins.
Okay.
And everybody's gets one.
They get a
And
full
the
mannequin.
business is
You want to
called-
do full mannequins of Vladimir Putin, and you don't think that's going to raise any red flags with people? Like, hey, so Peyton Manning actually teaches a new class where they paint figurines of Vladimir Putin. Do they do any other world leaders? Nope, just Vlad. You know.
Here's what the company's called. It's called Peyton putting paint on Putin.
Hey, man. You ever heard of synthetic media? We have to start over.
Okay. So there's that. That's yeah. So
Mike won't stay up.
you ready?
I've been ready.
Okay. So
So they started with music. Why do they go for the arts? Why are they? They're trying to cut us out, dude. They're trying to like.
I think that's like because they were like, what can we create? And I think realistically, it's like, I mean, you're not going to get a computer to just build a building right away. Like, I mean, I guess we have 3D printers now, but
No, but okay, go ahead.
But like back in the day, that's the most likely thing that a computer is going to be able to create is art because it's not a physical thing. It's abstract.
Okay.
So it's.
I'm glad you went there. I thought you were gonna say because it's easy.
No,
I was like, oh yeah,
it's easy
cool.
to make art.
Cool.
No,
Like
because
you
it's
did
abstract.
that when you walked into my living room. You looked at the painting I have in my living room, and you went, I could do that. You just, like, it's just
I mean,
like,
I could do that one.
this
That
is
one's
rude.
not great. That one's not great.
This is rude.
I mean, maybe it is. Did Bush draw your
Yeah,
painting?
I got a
Paint
paint.
your
I've got a yep. I've got a Bush original.
Got a Bush original. So obviously,
And if you get a print of his stuff, you know, it's not like the actual painting. It's just a print of it. It's called a Bush Light. Anyway, go ahead.
I like that. So it started with kind of those two big things right there was paintings, music, and then,
those were like 2,000 years separate though. Like you're acting like that was like they gradually expanded. Like it took 2,000 years to get from music to like make this painting.
Well, it took 2,000 years to get from playing music to making music. And then it took a few years to get from making music to making paintings.
Okay.
And then it leaped into video games, where in video games they call it procedural generation. And what's really interesting is this is actually like kind of the birthplace of video games was AI developed video games. So
Because it can expand the map as you're going.
Yes, that's more of a modern use for it. But originally, what it was used for, so they were copying tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
They use a very abstract form of procedural generation because as you play the game, everything you do, you roll the dice and it randomizes what happens.
Okay.
And so as you go through the game, your dice are just deciding what's happening in the game.
Yeah, and you can't create. You'd have to create a game if you didn't do this. You would have to create a game that has every possible.
Yes. Outcome.
I see what you're saying.
out.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
the computer has to be able to create the outcome for
you.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
That is a big task.
Yeah. And so what it went from was in like, have you seen like those text adventures where there's no game, it's just like a black screen with white text on it, and it's
Yeah,
like you walk
and then
into a
like
room-
every few words it's gone and you type in a new one and at the end you have a new story.
Are you talking about Mad Gabs?
Yeah. That's really the first AI.
That's the first day.
So in ancient Greece, they
They're like, what do we call this? Mad Gab.
Mad Gab.
We all thought it just sounded weird, but it was Greek. Which is why it was.
Don't you know Greek?
No, I know Hebrew.
Oh.
But I know is a loose term. I took 1 year in college.
Oh, I thought you were saying no, I don't know. And then you were saying no is
No, I know Hebrew.
Oh, there's
I
too
don't
many.
know Greek. I know Hebrew, but know is a strong word.
Okay.
I can.
Yes is a
I can understand
better word.
Hebrew. Okay. And so a good example of the text adventures is Oregon Trail. That was kind of a hybrid. 'Cause they had graphics in it and stuff. But yeah, you like walk into an area and then it's like you walk into a room. There's a flashlight and a dragon. What
And
do you
have
do?
to choose,
Yeah, and then what it does is it rolls a virtual dice in the computer. Like you don't see it, but it rolls a dice to figure out what the outcome's going to be, and then it gives you your outcome. And so as you put in your inputs, new outcomes come out. Well, obviously games started becoming graphical, and they started adding in like gameplay elements. But they realized pretty quickly with home computer systems, they didn't have the storage space for them to map out an entire game because back then your hard drives were like literally like a few megabytes, not even a gigabyte. And so you couldn't put a lot of data into those. So what they did instead of storing all that data, they procedurally generated it. So as you walk through every door, they gave a set of rules of what new rooms could look like, new areas could look like, but they didn't design it. So when you walk through the door, it just the computer immediately created that as you walked in those original games. And that was a storage issue more than anything else. They were just like, we can't make all this. And so they would create the walls, they would create the textures, the flooring, what could spawn in there. And then they would tell the computer, when you walk through, roll the dice, let that just appear. And so every time you played a game in those original early
different.
It would be different. There was no clear set, this is the same every single time. As storage spaces grew and you could start to add more storage to things, you didn't need to do that as much anymore. So people started being like, well, now I can custom create everything. And so they custom created the whole world in the game.
Yeah.
And so it kind of fell out of vogue for a little bit because it wasn't needed anymore.
Yeah.
Recently, you're starting to see it come back in because there's this new sort of push in video games for things to be more replayable. And so they'll add these things where they twist and turn, but it's different every time as you play through games.
Okay.
So like Diablo was a big one who did this a few years ago. They have a big part of the game is these dungeons. You go in the dungeon, you explore the dungeon, you get the treasure, whatever, fight the boss. But every time you go in Diablo, they procedurally generated the dungeons. So
the map is different.
Yeah, the map is different.
Yeah.
In those dungeons, specifically just the dungeons. So you could do the.
They did the same thing at the Denver International Airport.
Yeah.
Every time you go downstairs,
every gate is different. Every gate's procedurally generated.
Super different. It's pretty wild, man.
It's like I walk into every time I walk. Yeah, that's crazy.
I like how you abandoned your joke. Like you started to say something, and then like halfway through a word, you went, anyway.
Bang, bang.
Your brain was just, you didn't know where to land. It's pretty good.
Should have went to DIA.
I love that you drink these for energy, and then every time you drink one, like the whole episode, you look like you're just like about to die.
Well, here's the problem. I realized halfway through this episode I forgot to take an allergy pill. So
that's
why I keep rubbing my eye.
I've got Benadryl.
Will you get me the Benadryl?
Hey, if you watch this episode and you see us drinking out of these mugs and you're like, I want to drink out of those mugs while I watch this episode, great news. You can purchase these at TILLN.com/merch. We've got these mugs, some shirts. We're going to put new designs out pretty often, so please keep up with that. And all that money goes to help support this podcast and make it better.
Make it better, yeah. Also, if you subscribe on Patreon, you can find out what we put in our mugs every week.
Yeah, it's just
air.
We're fake drinking.
So, wow, that's interesting.
Tell us. You're just like, oh wow, that'd be really fun to learn about. Man, wow, that's fascinating stuff.
So
y'all should Google this.
What if our whole podcast is just me giving Google search terms?
That's 100% what it is. It's never enough information
without any context. No, so
you were talking about Diablo. We're doing
so they would do their dungeons procedurally generated, but then a lot of the other games started doing different things.
So procedural generation is the term for
AI generating something in a game. So essentially, the way it works is just an equation where you put in, they call it a seed, and so it really could be any number. You put a number in the equation, and then they define all these other pieces.
You're creating rules.
Yeah.
So you're saying, if these are the circumstances, this is the direction to go. It's kind of like a little roadmap kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
without a real finished destination.
Yeah, and it's like, and then they say,
because there's multiple roadmaps at work at once.
Yeah,
that's a complicated system.
And so there's like Diablo's kind of a sophisticated system. There's ones that are just like they create those for where weapons spawn or where enemies spawn, and so it's random every time. Most games kind of have something like that in them. What was interesting though was in 1996. Well, I'll ask you this. Hey man.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of the Elder Scrolls?
Yeah, those are those parts of the Bible they found. Right?
The Dead Sea Scrolls?
No, they're like the Elder Scrolls.
No.
And then didn't Hobby Lobby steal them?
What?
Hobby Lobby stole the Dead Sea Scrolls. Did you know that?
They didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They did
They
not.
illegally bought them. This is 100% true. Google it. You should Google that. Hobby Lobby bought, like almost like on a black market situation, they bought some Dead Sea Scrolls to have at the American Bible Museum. But then, do you see it?
Oh, it's their Museum of the Bible.
Yeah.
They bought fakes and they said they were real, is what this article says.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it was.
Nice.
But okay, but does Israel want them back? Like they
The fakes?
want no, not the fakes. They want like the because I'm pretty sure there was some stolen. But yeah, Hobby Lobby definitely did. I knew about the fake part.
Interesting.
I thought they also stole some stuff.
I don't know. We'll have to look deeper.
They immediately they bought an artifact that they didn't have the rights to buy,
Okay.
and it got taken back.
Okay.
But yes, they
We've all
also
been there.
did get conned on some, which is good to know because they're based in Oklahoma, right?
Hobby Lobby?
Hobby Lobby?
I don't know. I've got no idea.
Why do you say it like that? Hobby Lobby? What I'm saying is I'm short on cash. So how about we just make some Elder Scrolls and we just go, hey, Hobby Lobby.
Hey, Hobby Lobby. They won't know what the Elder Scrolls are.
They'll be like, what are the Elder Scrolls? I'm like,
Like-
it's a Harry Potter thing. They're like,
It's-
whoa.
It was the ones before the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's why they're
And
called
they're
the
like,
Elders.
Whoa. Yeah. So basically what we got to do, and then we'll get Ken Ham to verify them. We're like, here you go, Ken
It's a
Ham.
good verifier.
Yeah.
Good verifier.
Yeah.
So the Dead Sea or the Elder Scrolls.
The Elder Scrolls.
The Elder Scrolls is a video game series.
'Kay.
Which is actually it's the series that Skyrim is a part of. Skyrim is
Yeah.
the Elder Scrolls 5. Elder Scrolls 2 came out in 96. It was Daggerfall was the name of it.
It's a cool name.
Yeah, it's like a punk band. from the
Daggerfall?
90s.
Why is everything a punk band to you? Go ahead. Daggerfall.
That's the only reason I made that joke. Yeah, so Daggerfall came out, and then what they did is they procedurally generated the map for Daggerfall, and
The whole map.
the whole map is procedurally generated. So what they did is they plugged in their rules, they put it in.
So then, like, if you're playing at the same time as your friend who's playing at their house, they're playing different games.
No. So what they did is, so there's two ways procedural generation can work. Minecraft does procedural generation where every time you open it up, you put in the seed comes up and it opens up a brand new world. And so, but you can always go back. Like if I'm playing and you can put in your seed in Minecraft. So if I put in the number like 45,328, it's going to open up that seed, and they will always be exactly the same when you put in that number.
Okay.
So you and I can put in the same number, and we can find the exact same world when we jump in. So yeah, so this game Daggerfall, it came out in 96, and it was by far the biggest game like to ever be made.
'Kay.
And even to this day, there's only a couple
Still
games.
a massive game.
There's only a couple games that are bigger than it to this
Are
day.
they Grand Theft Auto?
No, Grand Theft Auto is way smaller than Daggerfall. Like not even close.
Wow.
Daggerfall, to give you a sense of perspective, is a third of the size of the country of Great Britain.
Yeah. And twice the size of the King Fahd Airport.
It actually is. Hold on, let me pull it up. It's the map in Daggerfall is 160,000 square kilometers. King Fahd is 740 square kilometers. So significantly bigger. That's like 700 DIAs. DIA is big.
How many of your hoodies is it?
It's at least 5.
Dude, I love that you Price is Right everything in your life. You're like, it's at least this much.
Well, I mean, then you know.
And you do that so much, though.
One of my favorite
I'm like,
jokes.
how far away are we from downtown? You're like, it's at least 5 minutes. you're just like trying to like.
I'm always right.
Bob, $1. Idiot.
So, like in '96, it's a game that literally there's only a couple games bigger than it. One of them is Minecraft. Minecraft, because it's procedurally generated, is pretty much endless.
Yeah.
They do have. I think they actually took it away. I know they originally had a boundary
What about Second Life?
Away. Second Life has no bounds.
Okay. Is Second Life procedurally generated?
I don't think so. No, because they made the map, and then the people create stuff in Second Life.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a very long comment on YouTube about Second Life, by the way.
Did we really?
Yeah, this girl who plays it. I don't know. I assumed the gender on that one. My bad. But I think it's a woman that commented. Pretty sure. I don't remember. Anyway, she gave a long comment and was like, "I appreciate that you guys did a comment. Like, I think about this. Here's some things." She didn't correct us. She just said like the real estate thing isn't really a thing anymore. Anyway, that's a different topic.
Yeah, it is very long.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I remember it. Is it a woman who did it? Like,
it is a woman.
Okay.
I mean, they have a female as their profile
I
picture.
listen. I wasn't like I was being like, "Oh, I didn't want to assume their gender." It was just like, I did a guy do that, or I didn't remember. Anyway.
Yeah. So she left that. And then somebody else left. Hi, Jaron.
Yeah, that kid comments everything. I assume it's a kid. I love it.
So massive map hasn't even and then nothing even close to it has been created other than Minecraft, which is like, does that count? I don't know.
It's not a real game.
Minecraft. So here's what's interesting. A couple games have come out recently.
Yes.
That blow Daggerfall out of the water.
Okay. Okay.
One of them is a game called No Man's Sky. We'll talk about this one first, which scale is a little smaller.
I feel like the Redemption game, Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, that one's big, but it's not even close to Daggerfall.
Really?
Not even close. Not even close.
Okay.
Daggerfall is insanely massive.
Okay. So this one is called what? The one you're talking about?
No Man's Sky. Okay. So No Man's Sky is a game that's 100% procedurally generated. Everything in the game, even down to like characters, they say every atom in the game was procedurally generated.
Yeah.
And so everything they created all the potential assets, and then they just let the computer make it happen. And the game
is this primarily used for gaming?
Procedurally generated. Synthetic media is largely gaming nowadays. There are a few other applications that are pretty common, which we can talk about in a second. Yeah. But I think gaming is the one that does it the most, and it's probably the most interesting. But No Man's Sky, they made this game, and it's procedurally generated. They made the rules, they made the assets, they made the designs, and then they just gave it to the computer and said, "Hey, make a universe." And it is 18 quintillion planets. And you can explore every single one of them. And they're full planet size. And the way it works is you spawn in the world. It's the same world for everyone. It's like it's hosted on some computer somewhere, and so you spawn into this computer world in the same computer as everybody else. And every time someone you get on your ship, you fly, and whatever direction you fly, if nobody has seen that yet, then you pass into the point where it hasn't been created, and then it gets created as you enter that area. And so there's new areas, and every time someone goes in, new.
It's just constantly expanding.
Yeah, new universe is just appearing out of nothing.
I think we live in that.
I think this is.
As you're describing that sounds yes.
Yeah, and so every planet has different plant life. Every planet has different scenery, different wildlife, because it just took all these pieces that the game designers
put it together. Yeah,
yeah, and they essentially it's kind of like a very, very, very large scale Mr. Potato Head. Is what they're doing with No Man's Sky.
I'll accept it. Okay.
And if you look at the
is there a point to the game?
Explore.
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
you can settle, you can build outposts on the planets and stuff, and you have your spaceship, and it's actually really impressive watching gameplay because it's so.
At that point, you should have your own planet. If someone else settles on your planet, I'd be like, what the dude? There's
it does whenever.
What the frick are you doing here?
If you discover a planet, if you're the first one to discover it, it will from that point on say you discovered that planet. They'll say discovered by you.
Yeah.
Or whatever your name is.
Well, what I would like to do is I would like to land on a planet, kill everybody on it. And then teach all my children on that. Yeah.
I discovered it.
Yeah.
Change your name.
My username is Columbus.
Yikes. So yeah, that's No Man's Sky, which is
interesting.
very cool to me. Like the technology.
So that's where you can And that's why it would be
endless.
interesting for games is that it's
It's almost endless. Another game that's done this really, really well in a very interesting way is Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know if we've talked about this in the show.
I
Have
love
I told you
Flight
about this?
Simulator.
Have you played it?
Why did you do that?
Have you played it?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I feel like this is a joke.
Flight Simulator.
Keep going.
It's where you simulate flights. Like I don't know how else to talk about. Like, what do you mean?
You said that like
I've played it. Yeah.
okay. When?
I got really into it in 2014 when I dated Hannah. Is you want more information? Like her dad was a pilot. We talked about it a lot. We set it up. I had the little.
So did you do like the old ones back in the day?
I don't know. Whatever one existed in 2014.
Okay.
So now they do.
So they just put out a new one
Where it's like Endless World.
Yeah. Well, here's what they did. They took Bing Maps and procedurally generated the entire planet Earth, 1-to-1 scale.
Oh wow.
Every tree is within inches of where the tree is in real life. And so they used that Bing Map data. They created trees. They created all these different kinds of plants. And then they were like, hey, take this data, put it together, make planet Earth. And they did. And it's incredibly accurate. And it's crazy.
I've been thinking about getting back into it because you want to be a pilot.
Yeah, I want to learn to fly. I want to learn to fly. And it's like super realistic. The physics and everything in it are crazy realistic. The graphics are amazing. There's a whole community of people that are posting pictures of Flight Simulator like screenshots, and they're like, see if people think it's real or not. And so people who are like amateur pilots will fly in a replica of their plane in the game and post that picture, and everybody thinks it's a real photo because it's real life places. You can fly over. When they first unveiled
I mean, they're just doing it over Google Earth at that point, basically.
Kinda, but it's
Right.
like what they did is they took the data from it and then they took like high resolution animation and put it together. So like Google Earth is not very crisp and clean, but they took this and made it look really good and really realistic. I mean, if you get super close,
Man, I have really wanted to end up on Google Earth, like because Hollywood from Evangel was on the Google Street Maps version.
I did not know that.
If you looked up, I'm sure it's changed now, but if you looked up Evangel, right there, that road that leads to Scott, Hollywood is on the sidewalk waving at the car. It was magical. Like he's just straight up. For those that don't know, Hollywood
That's the most Hollywood thing I've ever heard in my
Hollywood
life.
is a guy who is a groundskeeper at Evangel. Groundskeeper mate, like
Did he go to Evangel?
No. So he's a special needs person who just went to a lot of games when he was like in his 20s. Like he just loves basketball.
Evangel.
Yeah. And would go to Evangel basketball games. There was a My Floor S2S at the time when they were, however many years ago. He's like in his 50s now.
Yeah.
And they became friends with Hollywood. He would just hang out on the floor, and he's just been doing that for 30 years now.
He's awesome.
He's
the coolest guy ever.
The first time I ever met Hollywood,
legend.
he walked into my dorm room because I live on he just does this on S2S. He's just an S2. He's the S2S mascot. I'm in my dorm room. I just moved into college, and I am just sitting in the room on my couch. He comes in, sits down next to me on the couch, opens the mini fridge, grabs a Coke, and then just opens it, takes a sip, and then just goes, "Hi." And I was like, "Hello?"
Yeah, you can have that.
He's like, "I'm Hollywood." And you're like, "Yeah, you are." So just call him Hollywood, man.
Was it on Pythian or in the parking lot?
On Pythian.
I don't think
It's probably, let me see what you're looking at.
Well, now I'm in the parking lot because I didn't
Are you
see
on
him
Google Street
Pythian.
View?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not there anymore.
Yeah.
But you know how he would walk around the sidewalk and pick up all the trash on campus?
Yep.
He just waved at the car one time, and he was just right there on the corner of Pythian and Glenstone, and just hi.
I love. God,
It was.
I love
Oh,
I
I'm
miss
so glad
him
you missed
so
it.
much. I'm so glad you missed it.
Hollywood's awesome.
But here's the thing about Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
You
can see Hollywood on Flight Simulator.
Flight Simulator.
though.
Fly over
If you
Pythian.
look out, he's just down there.
You gotta be careful to crash right where that plane crashed that one time.
Oh gosh.
and then you'll see him waving at the crash.
He's there. Yeah, that's what he does.
Drinking
a Coke.
I think that Microsoft Flight Simulator is the most impressive piece of technology we've ever created to date. Because it is a 1-to-1 scale of the planet Earth, which is crazy enough. Every airport that exists, you can land on. The physics are insane. And here's one thing that's super cool about it is they are, as they're updating, they're implementing real world events to Microsoft Flight Simulator. So what they're doing is real world weather is you can play with the exact weather that's happening on planet Earth at any given moment. You just turn on.
So if you're like, oh, it's nice outside, let me go for a flight.
Yeah. Or if like that hurricane, what is that, a month ago, was like right when Microsoft Flight Sim came out. So everybody turned on real world weather and just flew into the hurricane because they were like, I can't do this in real life. Let me go see what it's like. And they did. Like it was like exactly where it was on the planet, exactly at the intensity. It was the exact situation of the weather was 100% completely mimicked in the game, which is so crazy to me.
Wow.
And they're doing the same sorts of things with traffic.
You gotta think like at a certain point, why? Like, okay, we're good.
Well, one of the big things with Microsoft Flight Simulator is it's a flight simulator. So this is like they train pilots in this.
That's why I did it. I was like, oh, I want to learn how to fly.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. That's too dark of a story.
So it's not just a game. I mean, it is a game for a lot of people, but for some people, it's actually like a training tool. And one thing they're doing too now is they're trying.
That's how I feel about RuneScape.
It's a training tool
for
what?
You know.
For what?
Making runes in my room. It's my rune room.
Welcome to my rune room. They're working on putting real air traffic data. So flights in the game would be flights in real life.
So you just hit planes?
So you're like, hey, look at that plane. I want to go fly by it. You could, because you just pull up the flight data and you just go take off from KCI, and the plane that flew over your house is a plane that's actually in the game. So it's like it's mimicking what's happening in the real world is happening in the game world at the same time, which is insane to me. Mm-hmm. Similar technologies are coming out. So pivoting from video games to real world, some more synthetic media that's happening. I watched a video this morning. Some company went and they made, using the same technology, a perfect model of Shanghai, so they can understand what's happening in Shanghai in real time at any moment. And so essentially using a combination of security cameras and traffic data and drone footage, they kind of have a 3D model of the city at any given moment. And so
great.
The thing they're using it for right now is for real-time traffic simulations. So the government is saying
that's what I was really thinking for is like you could effectively simulate what would happen like in this kind of disaster if if this building goes down, if you could simulate all of that.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they're watching they're watching Rush Hour. And they're saying, okay, traffic's getting really backed up here. What happens if we add another lane? And then they do that in the simulation.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're getting an idea of how to do different things. And so it helped them a lot because they were able to recreate it perfectly without having to spend all those man hours of having someone meticulously go through and design it all. It just did it for them. And a few other cities are starting to follow in suit in recreating their cities using procedural generation like this to be able to solve complex problems in this simulated environment. Which is very interesting. And they're doing the same thing for like architecture. Architects now, like they can put their city right in the middle of this.
But can you solve like the complex problems?
Like what?
Like our city has a pretty big wealth gap. Can you solve that in the simulation?
Yeah, it simulates the wealth gap. No, and so there's all that. Here's another side of it that's really interesting. Is they're starting to be able, through these AIs, to generate speech. And so same type of sort of technology that gives you Siri or Alexa, but it's starting to get really good where, I don't know if you've heard these recently, there was some of these where the computer created like some politicians, them saying stuff that they never said.
Right.
Like they went through and the computer was able to take their voice.
Dude, Amazon does that.
Really?
Have you seen that? Like,
no.
Yeah, I did not like it. I opened the Amazon app and it says like, try this with your Echo Dot or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can click play and it's your voice saying,
oh, gosh.
I did not like it at all.
That's so spooky.
I was like, nope.
That's kind of cool though, but very spooky. I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah.
So they can create fake communication from people using the sounds from their voice. Another thing that's really big, you might have heard of it. It's called deepfakes.
Yeah, with the face.
Yeah. So they're putting people's faces on videos that weren't there.
Dude, do you think people freaked out about Photoshop the way that I kind of freak out about deepfake video?
Probably.
Because like people were like, you can just make it you can make an image be whatever.
Yeah. And now it's video. You can make a video be whatever. But it's,
I know
the AI is doing it, so it's like really well done.
Well, I'm thinking like the way that.
So if you don't know, deepfakes are the computer will take a video of something else and they will put the face of somebody else on that video.
Superimpose your face.
Yeah.
So the way this has become a real issue is there are pornography videos with someone else's face put on the person.
Yep. Or like politicians doing something shady.
Yes.
Or like, there's a lot of things where it's like they put people in these incriminating
and right now
situations.
it's still kind of primitive, so it's still, you can watch the video and it's kind of obvious that that's not the thing. But like you see the advances in like graphic design and Photoshop, like eventually this is so streamlined. Like it just
But yeah, they'll put them they'll put them committing like financial fraud, doing different like fake news situations. Like they'll just put their face on those.
The upside is that we'll be able to make your forehead smaller.
So yeah, the deepfakes are sketchy.
If you ever see a video of Tim, you just got to measure his forehead and be like, "Is this real?
Is this real? I don't know." Here's another thing that's really interesting.
You didn't like that joke.
I didn't.
You're trying to push past it.
I am trying.
I hit your insecurity. I see it in your face. You're like,
I hit it.
Anyway.
So using the same concept that they did for paintings, where they just showed a computer a bunch of paintings and then had it spit out their own painting. Somebody did that with people. Yeah. And so they gave a computer a bunch of pictures of people, and this guy, I can't remember his name.
Now, would this be? I'm thinking of like police sketches. Is this where this could be beneficial?
Theoretically, maybe I could see
maybe
it
could see like if you get an image of like half a person's face or whatever, it could probably computer. I mean, we might be able to do that already. Like computer generate the other half or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because here's what it does more. It's like you give it a bunch of examples. Yeah. And then it creates something from those examples. It doesn't quite you can't really recreate something that exists per se. I mean, theoretically, I guess you could, but right now that's not what the technology's at. It's just creating random stuff. Okay. But some guy he's got a website called thispersondoesnotexist.com. And you go there, and literally every time you refresh the page, it just gives you a new fake person, image of a person that the AI just put together and compiled. And it is scary. Oh, like you would believe that these are real people. Watch this. We can just flip through this a few times. Like every time, these look like real pictures. Like you look at them, and you're like, this is a photo of a person.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's a real person.
And that's what's scary about it. The only way you know that this isn't a real photo is if you start to look at the background, because it doesn't pick up background super well. Yeah. Because I guess my guess is most of the pictures they gave him, the background was a little blurry, like a lot of portraits are, and so the backgrounds seem a little wonky.
Man,
isn't that gnarly? And so all of these, you literally could just refresh through, and it's just going to give you a random created person, and none of them exist. And that's what's crazy. And I love that they just named the website thispersondoesnotexist.com. And like you can just sit here. I was doing this earlier today. I was just flipping through. I was like, gosh, can I find oh God. I'm screenshotting this. This is going in the video. We need to put this in the video. I'm sending it to you. This random one. Okay, so
here's what I thought was going to be super funny is if you Google image me and then turn it around.
Here's what happened. So it created a person. But in the side of the photo, I guess from distorted other photo, they put in another person.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Oh my gosh.
Yikes. This normal guy next to this freaking monster.
Freaking weird stuff.
That's incredible. Yeah, so this person does not exist.
Yeah, I
God,
hope not. You know.
I could sit here for days just flipping through this. It's just unreal. Every single
Yeah.
time you're like, this is a real human, but it's not.
Here's my favorite image of people who don't exist. What else is interesting about this? Are we done?
There's not a lot more that's interesting
Yeah.
about it, really.
So here's what's really cool about this episode.
What?
Is that once I say fiddle off, the music just procedurally generates
Yeah.
and it never ends.
So you could forever. Just